Welcome to No Question About That. I'm Ed today with Isabel. How's it going, Isabel?
Very good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. I'm always asked to introduce my guest hosts better than I do. So you have a YouTube channel. What's your YouTube channel?
It's called Talk About United.
Yeah, pumping out the content.
I try,
Reasonable takes about United. Reasonable-ish. Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, yeah. Very good. Okay, today we're going to talk about Ruben Amorim, potential discontent amongst the players. This is a bit of a throwaway piece in the Daily Mail, but we can try and set it in some context. So 20 games in, 3 months in, 8 defeats, 9 victories, but 8 defeats has got everyone a bit on edge, including, according to the Daily Mail, the players, although this may have been relayed by Gary Neville. What are your instincts on this one?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think as a fan, it's annoying because I'm looking at it thinking it's the players' fault. It's their fault that it's not working. And of course, we do have to look at Amorim's tactics, and it's a new system that they've got to adapt to, which is, we're all very aware of, and it is going to take time. They've both got to adapt to each other. But I just think, I don't know where they've got the kind of nerve to come out and judge Amorim's tactics and talk between themselves about their manager who's trying to make them as best as possible. For me, I think it's out of order. I don't really understand it.
Mm.
And I don't understand how they're not looking at themselves.
Yeah, well, players often don't. I
Yeah.
think not all of them are that self-aware. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess we should say this was not. It wasn't identified. There wasn't a player named.
No.
Players could be 2 or 20 of them, and so there was no context given in this. It was in a piece that was fairly negative anyway because it was talking about the 100 extra redundancies that look like they're going to be made. No announcement yet, but there's just a air of negativity, isn't there, about the place? And certainly, it wouldn't surprise anyone if the players were talking to the press either via their agents or WhatsApp groups, which is very, very, very common.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, I know it's basically a Ten Hag group of players, but they've been doing it for 10 years. Like, since Fergie left, all the control is gone. So it wouldn't surprise anyone, I don't think. I guess the question is 20 games in, the nerve to question the manager already,
Yeah.
like with a third of the season he's had basically coming in during the season when he didn't want to. It's pretty cheeky.
Yeah, I think it's out of order. I don't think it's fair on Amorim at all. And the fact that, I mean, Amorim's probably not going to know who said this either. I mean, I know a lot of people have been saying, Bruno Fernandes needs to, I mean, it could have been him. We don't know. But as the captain, he needs to be there and kind of take control of the situation as well. And really, I mean, I feel like we're looking more like a team on the pitch, maybe, but compared to maybe what we were at the end of Ten Hag. But obviously we don't know what goes on in the dressing room. We don't know who's, talking about this, but I just think it's out of order. And hopefully, Amorim, I assume, is going to bring it up, or maybe he has brought it up already, and, get the situation sorted. But it needs to be, the players need to back the manager. You can't just give up this soon. It like you said, 3 months in, 20 games, it's not, you can't give up this soon.
Yeah.
I think it's, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think we've said all along that it's a brand new system. There's a lot of grace given by the fans because of that. I mean, Amorim gets his name sung at every game now. I think the in-person fandom is, although Old Trafford's way more toxic than it used to be, but sadly it is. But yeah, the in-person fandom is much more supportive than the kind of monos on social media, and I think we should take that more seriously. I mean, the other thing to consider is, I mean, I know Andy Mitten said this quite a lot, it's a complicated dressing room. There are factions. Not everyone gets on. Some players are more comfortable talking to the press than others. Some really hate it, and that grinds the gears of some of the members of Fleet Street. And so, take that complexity from cliques that have come in under Ten Hag or prior to that, and you can see where there may be a bit of chatter. The other thing is, like, Gary Neville said something like this basically on his podcast after this Sky Sports slot the other day. So I wonder whether these are one and the same. And if you want to root out the mole, work out who Gaz is friends with.
Good.
Yeah. What do you make of, like, more broadly? What do you make of Amorim's approach and tactics? I mean, we're all in, right? Aren't we? Just to say, we've got this new manager, we have to support him, and the club's going to need to back him with players that suit his system.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you can't give up on a manager this soon. And do you know what? The fact that Amorim's, come in and actually has been able to, I think, get these players playing the system. Maybe it's not as good as it will be in maybe, I don't know, the next couple of months. Hopefully it will get better. But I mean, the fact that he's come in and been able to, adapt to these players and change the system up is really great. I think it's great that a manager can do that quickly. And I think definitely, I mean, you do have to back the manager. You have to, the club has to back the manager. I think I'd hope there's going to be some good summer signings, that will fit Amorim's style. He is going off of Ten Hag's players, which isn't ideal, but he's coming mid-season and I think he's doing a pretty good job. Like you said, I mean, I was at the match on Friday, and you said about, the in-person fans chanting his name. The fans are there. Do you know what? The fans are there. Of course, Man United is this huge club and there's so many, social media people that will talk and slander Man United. But overall, I think the fans are there. I think it's just there's clearly issues with the players, and I hope it can be resolved. Obviously, I don't know, this set of players are the ones who have been dragging out the rest of the managers for the last 10 years now. But I just want to see Amorim succeed. I really do. I think he's got something about him. I like him. I don't mind his new system. I think the players just need to suck up a bit and just go for it. I mean, the match on Friday was awful.
It was dreadful.
It was so bad.
It was dreadful. I can't imagine that Amorim sent them out there and said, "All right, lads, play as bad as you possibly can." So,
no.
What a team talk that was. Yeah. I mean, for sure, I think you could kind of pick holes in some of the individual decisions he's made. It was a bit odd with Patrick Dorgu coming in for his debut on the right. I know he's done it about half of his games for Lecce this season. They've used him as a kind of impact player. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the lack of balance in the United side feels quite clear. So that was a little bit odd. And he's tinkered with the front three and the middle two, and which wing backs are where, and all of that kind of stuff. And he's trying to work it out. But the other thing about this is he's going to find out quite quickly who's sort of on his side and who believes in his philosophy. I mean, he decided, it was interesting when Marcus left for Aston Villa. What Amorim then said gave more detail, which he hadn't done before, which I thought also was a little bit odd. But he was like, look, we just didn't agree on how he should be used. He didn't say he's not training hard enough. He said we didn't agree on how the game should be played. And that was kind of interesting, right? So he's trying to find players who'll go, yeah, I'm all in with this. I'll run through walls for you. And also I believe in what you're doing. And so if there are players in the dressing room who don't, and it's clear, I think they may be seeing the exit door in the summer.
Yeah, and you'd hope that the players, look at Marcus Rashford and see that this player who's been here forever, this manager's not afraid to kind of, say bye and let them go. So I think they really need to go for it. There's no messing about here. I mean, I think I generally think the players that we've got right now, will try. I think when I was watching the match last Friday, it was kind of as if it was painful to watch because it was as if they actually were trying, but they just were bad. Like, I know, I love Kobe. I think he's a great player, but he did have a bad game, and hopefully it's just, one of the many. But sorry, one of the not one of the many. One in a million, whatever. But no, I think it was just a flop match, and I just hope these players, look at Rashford leaving and think I need to step up. I need to step up my game because Amorim's watching.
Yeah, and United can't trade on success anymore. We can trade on our name, but we can't trade on success because there's not been much in the last 10 years. And we can't really trade on wages anymore, which is what we've been doing since Fergie left, which is basically paying a premium because players are not sure whether we're going to be in the Champions League or not. It's only about half of the time, and there are other options out there, right? United is competitive, and so that's a challenge, right? That's why I kind of suspect finances, getting some of the higher wage earners off the books, reorganizing the finances. That's going to take a couple of years. Bring in younger, hungrier players who aren't going, okay, no, I need to be an elite starting player for a Champions League club with Champions League wages. And that's probably a better strategy for growth going back to the top than it is buying shiny marquee signings who are 28 and paying them a massive amount of wages. And because it's just not worked for United for a decade, that strategy. So like, do something else, and the finances are going to force us to go down this kind of younger route, I think.
Yeah, and I don't mind that at all. I mean, the young players that we signed recently, I mean, obviously Hoyland, I mean, I know people are confused about Hoyland. I think I am. But I mean, overall, I think he's a good player. I think he's a good signing. Xerxes, we've got Ahmad, obviously Garnacho's has been bought in ages ago, but we've got a good set of young players, and I think I'm looking at the older players in the team now. I'm looking at Casemiro, I'm looking at Eriksen, thinking, your time it's nearly up now. Summer, I assume, for them too. But get the young players in. I think the young players want it, and I think there's definitely no doubt about, young players. They want to come to Manchester United. They do. It's a huge club. I know, like you said, we've not won anything in the last 10 years, like anything really major, but I think players do want to come here, and bring in the young players. I mean, if they're going to go for it and they want, as long as they're looking at Amorim thinking, I want to do well for this manager, I have no problem with it. There might be, they've got still learning to do. I mean, obviously that's what you get with young players, but I don't mind that. We've got to build a team. We've got to build the players for this system. And yeah, I'd take the young players.
Yeah, the environment's really important, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the supporting structure around Amorim and getting rid of the toxicity that appears to have been invaded the club for so long under the Glazers. And it worries me that players talk and there'll be this sense that United is a failing, chaotic club. There's not a good environment to grow your career.
Yeah.
Right? Because if we're going through this stage of, hey, we're going to buy slightly younger players and improve them. And if it doesn't work out, there's some kind of sell-on value and they're not on massive wages. And if it does work out, they appreciate value. It's the strategy that Dortmund and Brighton deploy. And I know we're like a much bigger club and therefore we shouldn't be doing that. But we've done the opposite and it's completely failed. But that kind of toxic culture invades everything. I mean, I saw at the weekend, Marcus Rashford posted something on his Instagram account about, great debut for the club. Great victory, happy to be here, sort of thing. It was the kind of one-liner. And Jadon Sancho posts freedom.
Yeah.
And like, oh dear, because people have got to be wondering when he says something like that. And I know as fans, we can go, well, just fuck off, Jadon.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not with us anymore. You're with us or you're against us. And we can get into that siege mentality. But also, like, if the word's gone round, this is not a good place for your career. That's not good for United.
No, definitely. And that is, like you said, that's what it's given off at the minute, which is so unfortunate because, like I said, I mean, I think players do want to come to Manchester United, but yeah, they do have to look at that. It is a toxic environment at the minute. And I think it'd gone under the radar a little bit. Maybe the dressing room, I know there's always dressing room leaks and dressing room rumors, but I felt like there wasn't too much recently. And then suddenly now this coming out, it's just kind of knocks everyone down again. The fans do have to look at it and question like what is actually going on and which players is it? I think that's, I'm looking at it. I want to know which players are doing it. I hope Amorim, finds out and gets rid of them, to be honest, because
yeah. I mean, I think there's probably a bigger picture he's looking at, which is
definitely.
like, are they training in the way and are they playing in the way that he believes in, and can he see it in their eyes that they really want this, and he'll have honest conversations. He seems to be very straightforward, right?
Yeah.
I know Mitten called him a smiling assassin. He's super, super nice on the outside and just like hard as nails on the inside. He'll make really tough decisions. Like he ditched Rude at the, most convenient moment for him. He has been Marcus Rashford, a player who's been associated with the club for 20 years off and hasn't thought twice about it, right? So he clearly is able to make like really difficult decisions. I also look at the Sporting team and just how young that was, how many young players he had there. I mean, that's the nature of their club, right? They get young players, they develop them, they sell them on, they do it really well. And I'm not saying that will be forever United's strategy, but I do think it's in the next 2 years very, very likely to be that. And he looks like a coach that can work well with those kind of players who are moldable and shapeable and don't say no.
Yeah, basically. And no, I don't mind it at all. I mean, if that's what he's used to as well, he's gonna have the experience with training the young players into adapting his system. I mean, I sort of look at it as adapt to his system or kind of leave. You know what I mean? I think it's
Yeah.
I don't it's yeah, I understand players are individual but it needs to be a team and it needs to be under Amorim's system, under this manager. You might not want to play this way, but you're going to have to because the manager's here and this is what he wants to play. And yeah, I think adapt to it or leave. Unfortunately, I mean, it's be interesting to see, who won't adapt to it because obviously, like you said, he's still testing the waters. He's still playing different players, switching up positions. But I mean, obviously, the Rashford's already come out, in terms of he's not been able to do this system. So which other players won't be able to do it? I don't know. I'm ready to see.
Yeah, and I think there's strong leadership from Amorim. I mean, I've worked in organisations. I worked in one where a new CEO came in and said, "We're all in the boat together. If you don't like the direction of travel, get out now." And it's pretty like, okay, that's fairly clear. It's fairly clear. I love to give a book to my team called Radical Transparency. It's just about honesty because people hide behind being nice all the time. Amorim clearly is not. He's nice, but he's not hiding behind it at all. And it's a process where you say, we disagree, then we commit, right? So that conversation with Marcus Rashford should have gone, okay, you don't quite agree with my philosophy, I want you to do it anyway. And clearly it did not get that far. For whatever reason. And if he does that, all the better. The challenge for United is we've just not been able to sell players for any kind of decent money forever because we have them on these massive contracts. And so there may be a little difficulty in, like, Eriksen's out contract. He'll definitely go. I don't think he's going to be a problem. He seems like such a nice chap, Casemiro's on a massive contract. It's really, really hard. Given the fee we paid for him as well, we will take a charge on our accounts for that. Anthony, same there. It'll be almost impossible to break even on him if he leaves. Marcus Rashford will pay for those two. I mean, it's sad, but basically it'll net out at zero. And so there will be some transformation this summer. It's going to be really difficult because we can't sell players because we have them on these massive contracts, and which is like all these, and it's absolutely true, right? There was, I forget, was it Jamie Jackson in The Guardian wrote today that their staff at the club who think they're paying the price for the failure of people above them, right? And it's absolutely true. There are ordinary people who are on ordinary wages who are out of a job now because United blew £20 million on rehiring Ten Hag on an extra year's contract and then mid-season sacking him and all his staff and bringing in Ruben Amorim, or hiring Dan Ashworth at a cost of £5 million and then sacking him 5 months later. Real people are paying the price for that. And that, so there are consequences to bad decisions, and I'd have to get so much better at it.
100%. It needs to get better. I mean, it's the club's a mess. We know this. I mean, I think we nearly say it every time we speak. The club is a mess. And I mean, if Amorim gets these players playing good, maybe it can just kind of lift everyone up a little bit and maybe the business can be better. But I mean, it is messy, unfortunately.
The squad's unbalanced. We've got a new manager. We're losing games. People are tetchy at Old Trafford. The finances are a disaster. We haven't been growing in revenue at all, and we've lost £300 million in the last 3 years. So Jim Ratcliffe is in a hurry because he's 71. He hasn't got long left, but he can't just fix it with outside capital because the Glazers still are majority owners. We've got to sort out that bit as well. People are losing their jobs. People are despondent. Old Trafford is falling down. There's a massive list of things we can be really negative about. What we don't want to add to the list is players' disharmony, talking to the press instead of sorting out like grown-ups with their manager.
That's it. We need to stop. Don't add anything more to the list.
It's a bloody long list, isn't it? I'm sure I missed some stuff off there
Yeah,
as
probably.
well. Yeah, and it's really easy to start feeling very negative about it. But I do think there's a path out. Not to plug too much, but I did kind of history and perspective on United's finances for my newsletter this week at nqatpod.substack.com if anyone wants to read 2,000 words on why we're in a mess and what the path out looks like. I mean, I think there's, as someone who's spent a long time doing strategic roles in business, I think there is a path out of this, but it is about quality of decision making because you have resources. They just have to reorganize them a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it's like every business, right? You make bad decisions, you're going to do badly. United made bad decisions for a decade at least.
Yeah. And we're not getting anywhere soon.
No, it's going to be a bit painful. It's going to be a bit painful, but I do feel like we've got the right coach in place. We just have to have a little bit of patience.
That's it, definitely.
All righty, Isabel, talk about United. And, that's 20 minutes of talking about some kind of not great stuff, really, but let's hope there's a path forward. I think there is. It's just going to take a while, and we've got to be patient.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone. Catch you soon. Bye now.